Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to this brand new video. And इस पूरे वीडियो का यही है कि we will nail the frequency counter concept. My entire aim going through how much intense, I don't care how much intense this video is, how much long this video is to just make myself understand, at the same time pass on the understanding to the viewers, okay? Without any further ado, let's get into this, guys. Let's just get into this. Tuk 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 kardi. Tadu Victoria. Anyway, so sorry for that. Frequency counters. Frequency means a number of times a certain thing has occurred. A number of times a certain thing has occurred. By the word frequency counters, it will count how many times a certain thing has occurred. Then why do I have to write counters? Oh, basically there are many things happening at a certain time. We'll count all of them together at something. For example, a person is dying 3 times. Few people are taking, people are dying 3 times. People are taking birth 10 times. People are getting sick 100 times. Dying, taking birth, getting sick. There are different frequencies and they are getting counted. This is basically frequency counter. As simple as that it can get. Let's come to the definition. This pattern uses objects or sets to collect values, frequencies of values. Okay, objects or sets. Okay, set is also a data type and object is also a data type. Yeah. Okay, both looks in curly brackets in my head. Both of them have a structure in a curly braces and all the contents are inside the curly braces. Contents are inside the curly braces. This can often avoid the need for nested loops or O(n) square operations with array strings. With the iterables, whatever the thing is. Basically, in many cases, we have to create nested loops. And as you know that if there are 2 loops and they are like nested together, that is a loop inside loop, then the overall frequency with the growing time becomes O of n square, which is not ideal. Ideal is O of n, or best is O of 1. We cannot get O of 1 that quick, right? So we should aim for O of n, but this is O of n square. We don't want that. That's not a good complexity, okay? Okay, it's not a good complexity. So what we'll do, we will try to convert those 2 strings, 2 nested loops into 2 different for loops. Got it? Loops are generally in form of for loops, right? So not making it nested, we're gonna just divide it into 2 different for loops. But just by doing that will not actually solve our problem, right? We have to connect them together, make sense out of the code and make it logical. For that only we will use the concept called frequency counters. Okay, 3 minutes inside it. Okay, an example. Write a function called same which accepts 2 arrays. The function should return true if every value in the array has its corresponding value squared in the second array. The word corresponding is important here, okay? I'll tell you why. The frequency of values must be same. Got it? Okay, it's like kind of hard to try. You want to try this? You can try. You can pause the video. I myself tried it, okay? And what code I got, I'll show you. Tukkati kati ban di tera London tumak. Sendu charity London tumakta with the bad. Sorry for my voice. Then tumakda London tumakda. Huh. Anyway, so let me just uncomment this part. अंदर का कुत्ता आज करिए आज दुनिया पेट्रोल बन सुटिए. Okay, this is the code. So you would like it's like wrong, okay? It's long on so many levels. I just wrote a pseudocode for this, okay? You have to use the let keyword here and here also you have to use a let keyword. Let me just cover it and Okay, let me just refactor it in front of you. What are the things that we can refactor, and as well as at the same time, this is I times I, because we have used for off loop. This, you see, there is no like let I equals to 0. There is no like I like conditional statements are. What are the things called? Starting, stopping, and continuing. It increment. Part of the for loop, that complication is gone. We have simply used for loop, which is like this, simple. We just create a container called I, and it contains all the elements present in the array 1. What's array 1? Is an array. All the elements of array contained inside it. So we just assign it J. Oh, what are we doing? What are we doing? We should just take some breath. Okay, do you think it will work? And my answer is it won't work. You know what? Let's try. It is wrong on so many level. It's still wrong on so many level. Hopefully all of this code has to get. We have to reach here. Okay, I'm just commenting these parts out. You know what? Fuck this. I'll tell you what works. This is a modified version using ChatGPT of my same code, modified approach. Basically, here we have just taken function keyword and you have used same as our function name, and it takes 2 as parameters, that is array 1 and array 2 as 2 parameters. And inside this there is a code, and here at the very beginning we have used a short circuit method. It's like, I'll tell you what it is. Let me just open Paint. Let's just be creative nowadays. I mean now. So let me just draw. Let me just be quick with this, okay? This is simple shit and I'm trying to explain it using this. God, why am I like this? So like 1, it has, God, 1 couldn't be any smaller. 1, 2, 3, let's say 4 only, and 5, let's say 1, 2, 1, 4, 16. Anyway, so what I'm saying, in order for this array to be exactly square of the above elements, irrespective of the order. What do I mean? Like if 2 was here and 1 was here, doesn't matter. Like corresponding elements should match. This is what I meant by this word corresponding is important. So do you think in this lifetime we would be able to get exact squares of this array down here? Of course not. Why? Clearly 5 square is missing. So can you tell me what is the length? What is the length of this array? What is the length of this array? From here to here, what is the length of the array? So it's quite clear how much it is. 1, 2, 3. 1, 0, 1, 2, 3. What is the length? 1, 2, 3, 4. Basically 4. Right? Oh God, why the pen is like this? It's like, how much it is? 4. And what is the length of the down thing? Clearly it is 3. So the very first thing we can do is just rejecting the very fact that these arrays could ever be compared. That these arrays, we can apply our logic and convert and check if the up one is the down's square root, or the down one is just a square of the above array. Here we can just simply say no more checking, right? We need to just stop it. Simply return false. So this is what we do. Like if array 1 dot length just actually tells how many elements are present inside your array, and array 2 dot length does the same thing, is not equal, in that very case it's return false. So what happens if it returns false? The return keyword is very cool. It will just ignore every shit down there. What do I mean by that? If you just if this shit is true, this if statements ends up being true, this entire down code will just become discolored, will not be read by the very compiler or whatever the thing is there in order to get it checked. You know what I'm saying? So, okay, this is a good short circuit. You know what? Before seeing what the code does, let's see what a practical thing. Let's see what it returns. Okay, so let's just examine with our human logic. So 2 square is 4, 2 square is 4 is present, 10, 100. So it should return true, right? So, oh, Control Shift Y. Okay, let's press F5 and not .js. It returns true. So yeah, these two arrays are same. For example, if we change it and make it 11, which should be 1 to 1 here, but we have just 100, which is a false situation. So it returns false. So our code is working. So let's be stress free about that fact that our code is not working. It's just straight away working. Now, if the array's length are equal, that's a good thing. Let's jump into the other part, the else part of our code. Okay. So inside it, as I said, what is the time complexity of our code? As I said, we have used two for nested loops. Nested loops, the right word. So it has this first loop has a time complexity of O of n, and this also has a time complexity of O of n. So what would happen basically here is that the overall time complexity becomes O of n square. Why I'm saying n? Because the array length are equal, so n square. If it had different length, so we would have taken m into n, so time complexity would have become m into n. That is not the case. We don't even care about what is m and n. We just know the time complexity has become O of n square, which is not ideal. But you know what? We'll still go with this. We'll still try to understand this code, and then we'll move towards okay, even after that we'll move towards more a naive approach, some other approach which uses this same, O of n square time complexity, and we will finally reach to the frequency counter which I'm talking about. So that will have the time complexity of O of n using objects or sets, as we read a few minutes back here. Where? I don't know, where did it go? Huh. I don't know where it went, but yeah. So using objects, we will do that. We will be able to achieve that. Anyway, let's get into the else part. So else part. We have two for loops. First for loop will just simply iterate through all the elements of array. With every time the iteration happens, the I variable will contain different array 1 elements. So as it's like a very cool flag is used here, that is match found. It's like a flag, like true or false, it will return all the time. It will contain all the time. So the thing is, every time it enters into the for loops iteration, it will set match found to false. Simply set match found to false. It's a good thing it's doing. So start with no, we have not found anything. Of course, it just contains the first I as array 1 element, so it needs to compare first. So it gets inside the second for loop. So here we have used j as our variable. So every element of array 2 will become j, as you can see. And what it does inside it has a logic that if first for loops array 1 element, right, is multiplied with itself, is returning array 2's j element, that is I square is strictly equal to j. If a match is found like that, then we simply set match found to true. Initially it was false, outside the for loop it was, and we simply break it. Break keyword is used to prematurely exit it, because if you don't exit it, right, so for that very iteration, I of array 1 will start to search for other elements present in our array 2. So what it would do, it would create a problem, or it might not create a problem. I think it won't create a problem, but you know what? It would speed up our process, because if the match is already found, let's try to match some other elements with some other elements. You know what I'm saying? So that's the thing. So basically, the break keyword is used to basically speedify our process. Anyway, so break the iteration of our for loop. So break this for loop and then simply enter the outside for loop. Okay, we have found the element. Damn, done. Let's go out. So now it was I equals to 0. Now it will become I equals to 1. So whatever element is present in the array 1 in the second position will get compared with all the elements present in the j, present in the array 2 elements, will get compared with j basically. So if it's finds, if a match is found, it will again set it to true, and again it will prematurely break, and it will continue till everything is done. The for loop is executed. It will jump to this if statement, right? So so what happens in every iteration, that something is happening, that in every iteration that match found variable is set to false before checking. And the thing is, if this if statement is not true, if this statement is not true, that a certain element, if that there is no element for a certain I is getting matched with j, that is I square is not getting matched with j, a certain element of array 1, in that case the match found would what happen, what would it happen? It will stay false only, right? It will exit the for loop, but it stays false. So after that, it straight away gets out to the if statement, and after that what happens, it checks that if match found is false. Yeah, if match found is false, in that case simply return false. Or you know, if it successfully if it successfully ignores this part because match found is true, we have used return true statement outside, which is just return true when all the elements are matching. I know, like for loop I'm very bad in explaining it, but yeah, this is what we get. Anyway, so save it. So now we'll go through some other naive approach. Okay, great. Here same, we have used the same function, and it's very short code basically. What happens is that we have used a if statement, short circuit thing, that the array's length are not equal, they simply return false, and everything down there gets basically ignored. It's just like this, it happens like this. Okay, anyway, but inside there is a for loop, and it's quite short and concise code, and for that kudos. I have not written it. I didn't even think about like that. I didn't do any of the thinking of this for this also. So what is that? That is, it has used for off loop. There's the very clean way of writing the for loops is that it takes I as a container and array 1 as our iterator. So every value of the iterator will be assigned to I. So every time iteration happens, I will take a new value. So what it is doing inside is that it's creating a correct index. Correct index. So correct index is our variable, and we are assigning it we are assigning it array2.index of. Here you could have simply used array1.index of or anything, but we have used array2. So index of. So what it returns is some values, 0. From 0 it will start and go to as long as it permits or it find. it will go in a positive direction only. It will return -1 only and only if this returns to be, if it is unable to find anything in the array 2, which is I square. If it is unable to find that there is anything which is I square, it will return -1. It will return -1. So for that only, if it returns, if the correct index returns -1, then simply return false, because some element of array 1 squared is not found in array 2. That means there is, it's not compatible, match is not found. In that case, simply return false. Look how easy to explain this code is. If it somehow passes this, like, okay, we fucking ignored you. Why? Because it's not that. It's like we have found a match. So every time it finds a match, what would happen is that it would cut that very splice is used to like remove it from the array. We will remove that very element from array 2, and after it has finished, it never it never made made through this, that it never returned false, so it simply returned true. So in that case, what happened? Nothing happened. I'll show you what happened. Let me just, it's a very complicated and it's very cool at the same time. Control Shift Y. So it's returning true because 1 square is 1, 2 square 4 is present, 3 square 9 is present, 2 square 4 is present. As I said, order is not important. Like 1 square should be present here only. No, it should be present anywhere among these numbers. But it should, corresponding values should be there. Corresponding values should be there. That is, corresponding of I square should be as J, as should be as J, should be there. That's what I'm talking about. So actually what's happening in the background, we'll try to figure that out first. Okay, so for every iteration, for loop is there. Okay, so after splicing, what happens to console CLG on array 2? Okay, so let's see. So in the first iteration, it removes 1. You can see 1 is missing from here. In the second iteration, it removes 4 from the very back, and in the third iteration, you can see it removes the very 4, because it's like in the last iteration 4 is also removed. So this is what is happening. It's splicing away each one after the another. Very cool creative code, but still index of is nothing but short is a cryptic way of writing a for loop. Basically, it's a for loop inside a for loop only. So overall time complexity of this is also O of n square. Okay, we don't want that. Now the coolest stuff which we are about to get into is the frequency counter. You know what? I'm not interested in writing this, so we will just simply, I'll show you a quick way of doing these things. Just copy paste it here in Google Scan, and you'll say that order is like fogged. I know what you're saying, but just will you know what we'll do? Just chat GPT it, and we'll wait, and we'll say arrange it. It's got a cool code, by the way. Frequency counter, I have to give my entire energy right now in explaining this. Okay, by the way, I'd like to explain the difference between what is naive. These solutions are not naive to reach at. It's a pain in the ass. We have used the word naive in terms of the time complexity. Like if your code has big O of n, then it's a very good approach. It's a good approach. But if it has a time complexity worse than n, that is n square, n cube, or anything like that, then in that case, it becomes a naive approach. As simple as that. The code isn't easy to reach at. If your code is working, that's crazy. Should be happy about it. I'm happy about it, by the way. Anyway, let's just comment this part out. Okay. Okay. So we have what do we do? This short circuiting thing. Simple, same function, same similar way of writing the function. Short circuiting is done if the length is not equal. But the difference lies, the magic lies here, that we have defined two objects, frequency counter 1, frequency counter 2. Okay. So we have two for loops. How pretty and clean it looks, two for loops. What it does, it also uses for off loop. That is, the val1 will contain, what will it contain? Can you say? All the iterating values for array 1. Whatever the values are present in every iteration, val1 will contain it. The val1 is a variable. It will contain all the values in every iteration. It's like reincarnating again and again. So anyway, frequency counter 1, and we have taken what do we do here basically is we are assigning frequency counter 1, which is an empty object right now, some key and value pairs. What are we assigning? Some key and value pairs. So it is saying that in the place of frequency counter, like the very first array 1 element is taken as a key. Say with me, the very first array 1 element, that is this part, like 1, for example, 1 is here, right? So 1 is taken as a key. It says frequency counter to 1 is equal to frequency counter to 1. If it doesn't exist, then set it there, put 1 inside it. It is saying 1 inside it, and set its value as 1, like this. Okay, plus 1, add 1 to it. So this is what it is saying. If 1 is already existing, then add 1 to its value and make it 2. Basically, this is what the line is saying. It's kind of hard to explain. One day I'll make a video on this, okay? Really make a video on getting to really understand what this line means. This kind of line means. So I'll just take a screenshot. Okay, anyway. Similarly, for frequency counter 1 it is done. For frequency counter 2 we will do. Oh, I ended up reading 2 only. So whatever. So similarly, val will be used, and what am I doing? And simply it will check that very value is, we are doing in two different arrays. 9, let's make it 1, let's make it 4, let's make it 4. So now we are doing with the second array. So it is doing what? It is putting all the elements in the array 2 in an empty object, and it's setting, for example, 9 is the first value. It is setting 9 is to 1 because 9 doesn't exist there. And then it is setting 1 and 1, it is not existing, so it is written as like this. 4 it is written, so it is written at first. Again 4 it comes, then it's updated to 2. Like that it is doing. Okay. Hopefully it is making sense to you. So this is so easy to understand. Done. Frequency counter done. We have created two arrays. It does a simple task of basically converting an array into an object with an intelligent approach of not repeating the object elements as like different keys. We are just making it concise by considering similar keys and adding how many times it is present inside it. Simple as that. Now the main part is here. The real magic happens here. For let key in frequency counter 1. We need to understand this. So what are we doing here? We have a frequency counter. What is a frequency counter in this case? Is an object. Yeah, it's an object. So we are iterating an object, okay? And every value present inside the frequency counter is taken as key. Or are we just considering keys only? Oh, we are key in. So we are just it's a key in is a, I think is a, what is key in? Let me just give it a search. Key in an object is asking, is there a property called key in the object? As you know, object contains properties, and properties are like key and value. So you know what I'm saying, right? Okay, let me just show you an object first. Object example in JS. Let me just show you an image. Okay, here. This is an object, okay? Ignore the length and everything, those other things. Just see the purple things here, and ignore this up. Just look at this very part, not the entire red part. This the number part. So the purples are keys, and these are the values. The blue are the values. Okay, left side are the keys, and these are the values. So left side are the keys, and right side are the values. You get this? Anyway, where were we? So we are just considering the purple things. So it is saying we are just we are iterating through all the keys present in our frequency counter one variable. If it is saying, let's read the inside part. Keys time to key time to in frequency counter. So these are basically the keys only now. Yeah. But basically not keys. 1, 2 and 3 are the keys. 9, 1 and 4 are the keys. This 4 is also a key, but it is added inside it only. It's considered as 1 only. So it is saying if key times 2, key square, key times key is present in frequency counter 2. If it is not present, because it has used exclamation sign, if it is not present, then simply return false. If any corresponding value is not found, for example, 1 square is like, for example, it was missing here. It was like 6. What should I give? 9, for example. So it's like the 1 is not there, no? This 1 square is not present in here. True, it's not present in here. So in that case, simply return false. Anyway, and sorry for looking at my phone. So this is for frequency counter 1. Done? For frequency counter 2, if frequency counter key times 2 is not equal to frequency counter key, in that case also return false. So my question is let me just ask ChatGPT only this, because we are both trying to figure this out. Why to use this, right, when already we have used a crazy condition up there that if it is not present, if the key is not present inside it, then simply return. Why? आप फिर जल्दी में हो. Okay, quick and easy explanation. If this checks in the square exists in the second array, मतलब ये देख रहा है, does the square number even exist? Second, this one checks the counts match, मतलब if, okay, let me just read this to you. So this was quite easy to understand, that key square in frequency counter 2 is not present. Okay, a certain key is not matched in that, so return false. This checks if the square exists in second array, मतलब देख रहा है, does the square number exist? If not, then return false. The second if block is not equal to frequency counter key and return false. इसका मतलब समझ में नहीं आया मुझे. This one checks if the counts match, मतलब if the square exists, there are also number of occurrences, right? It makes sure that 2 appears twice in array 1 and then 4 is also appears twice in array 2. So Don't skip it because that ensure frequency times it occurs in the same and not. Okay, I mean, you can skip this, to be honest. According to me, you can skip this, but you know what it would do. For example, here, right, let's just try and run this. What is wrong in it? One more. Okay. So it is returning false because it should be 1. Let me just replace it with 1. Now it should return true. So you know what is more funny? The funny thing is, now it will still return true, I feel. You see? It will still return true. Why it is happening? Because we are not taking consideration of the fact. Okay, fuck all of that. Fuck all of that. Let me just try and explain you in a good way. What you'll do here is like console.log, and inside it we will put in our frequency counters. Okay, so we have put this frequency counter outside, and let's uncomment this. It should return false. You see, it is comparing. 1 is present 1 time, 2 is present 2 times, 3 is present 1 time, 1 is present 2 times, and 4 is present 1 time, and 9 is present 1 times. So it will compare the values present inside this. So 1 is 2 times, so it will straight away say false only. 2 is present 1 times, false. So only thing that is matching is this. Okay, let's just change it and let's make it something 1 2 3 2. 1 2 3 2. Now let us see what happens. It returns true. You see, the values are also getting compared. The keys are getting compared in this if statement, that if the key square is present, that 1 square, 2 square, 4 is there, 3 square, 9 is there, true. It just checks it. If that present in frequency counter 2, it's a for loop. Inside this we are checking, and inside the very for loop of the frequency counter 1, we are checking that frequency counter 2's element present in key times 2, basically the value key's name, that is 1, 4 or 9. For that we are checking that the is not equal to frequency counter 1 key. What it does, it checks for the values present inside these keys. If it is doing frequency counter, let's say frequency counter 2, right? If it is doing for 4, for example, it is doing for 4, so it is checking 4 is not equal to frequency counter that key, that is 2. It is checking for 2, 4 and 2, and they are checking for the values. When you type this, it just assign it's the value. So it has 2 right now, 2, 4 is 2, and frequency counter 1 dot key also has 2. So this is not equal is false. So it will never get inside this and simply return true. After checking for everything, it will return true. So this is what the frequency counter is. I know it's like fucking hard, pain in the ass kind of shit, and it didn't cement anything, but this is all over feel of it. Let me just summarize this once again. Basically, we create 2 objects and we fuck those objects. We just let them be empty, and we create again 2 for loops, separate for loops for all those. It iterates through 2 arrays and put them in our object in a smart way. That is, if it checks that the frequency of a certain element occurring, if it is more than 1, that it just put it in the same, under the same key. It does it for both the thing. And what we do after that, we have another 3 for loops are used here. Basically 3 for loops are better than nested for loops, 2 nested for loops. Why? Because the all over time complexity of this 3 for loops, because of this 3 for loop, or the entire code is O of n, not O of n cube or anything. But if you use 2 nested for loop, is gonna be n square. Fuck everything. So What it does inside the last for loop is that it checks for there are two if statements. The first if statement checks for uh, if 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 key square is found in frequency counter 2, then return false. If not present, then return false. Or दूसरा checks for if frequency counter 2's certain key is not present in that. Are you kidding me? My entire recording got deleted, I guess. Anyway, so if it is not present, then simply return false. Fuck it, man. Fuck it. So you got to understand this, right? Yeah. Chill. So thank you, God, for giving me all this process, and we will cement all of this in the coming time. And it's like first time is very hard for me. It's also very hard. So we try to nail it. So whatever we did, and we'll try to catch you up in the next video. Till then, take care, be safe, and it was very complex for me too. Bye bye. Take care.